Hey, how you doing? So this is our talk radio version where give you a heads up on the clip order coming up. Always like to let you know what you're getting on the OMSR in terms of the particular sporting event being covered, discussed. In this case, it was how the SEC sort of flexed their muscle, but you know, Nebraska had their chances. You know, if you're a Georgia fan in particular, I'll have to mind my vidz, as it's a V. But a lot of people are tired of hearing about SEC dominance, but it shows up again and again. So it's not like it's something being talked about that doesn't exist. It's just talked about to the nth degree. Can we stop kicking this dead horse? That's when a lot of SEC fans, particular to whatever university, need to understand with regard, well, why does everybody else cap on the SEC? That would be why I submit to you. Alright, so the clip order coming up, it's all in the second half. Tribute to Tom Osborne, tribute to Georgia. Now Nebraska was, you know, running up and down there at the start of the second half. Scored easily, and then they wouldn't score again. And Georgia had a couple big plays, but who's to say if those hadn't happened, how this game might have turned out. But, you know, we had a lot more clips that we had to really shave down. Now, don't worry, there's plenty of highlights coming up. And then there's the OMSR show at the end. But there's this little entity floating around on YouTube, and I'm not going to name names, Mao Zedong style. But it made it very difficult this year, as opposed to last year, to do anything at length with regard to any SEC or Pac-12 football. So we have to do this for our protection. Also it gives you, you know, do this talk radio version at the beginning, you know, the clip order coming up. Up until the end, in the Gatorade bath, best one I've ever seen a head coach get, of Mark Richt, and they accomplished that third time only in school history number of wins. Alright, so thanks for watching. Clipboard coming up.
Farmers. Todd Gurley had a big first half.
It's been tough sledding throwing the football for Georgia in the first half. I think they have to be able to continue running the football conventionally in the second half, force a defender into the box, create one-on-ones outside.
In Nebraska's offense, they're one of the best rush offenses in the country. Give it to Abdullah, give it to Burkhead, and that opens up the play-action passing game. Look at that. All set up off of the run. Continue to run the football and use your counterpunch as your pass. Our expert breakdown brought to you by Farmers Insurance, and what has broken down largely has been the defenses of both teams, largely because of good offense. 24-23, big-time numbers, dogs with over 300 yards, ready to eat and play in this opening drive of the second half. Amir Abdullah bursting through the middle. Abdullah with a great move to the outside. 3 terms in Congress. Had he stayed in Congress, he might have aged a little bit more. And that's what he was saying the other night. But not only is his legacy immense as a Hall of Fame coach, 255 wins, the 3 national championships, he was on Bob Vanny's staff before becoming the head coach, and athletic director since 07. He leaves a legacy of being the consummate gentleman.
No doubt. This is 504th game he's been associated with the football team today. That's amazing.
Nobody has played more games in a Georgia uniform than Tavares King. Murray reloads, pulls it down, throwing it deep, looking for a man, and he's got him. It's Chris Conway, touchdown, Georgia. He'll lose the 3. Murray picked up, might have lost a little extra.
The one thing you love and you hate about bowl season, because teams have so many weeks to get ready for games, they can add new wrinkles on offense and defense and confuse you a little bit. We saw Nebraska have issues with the Wildcat and a long touchdown run by Gurley early. We're tricked. We're fooled right there.
There's Mitchell in the shades, but no shoulder pads. Dogs would prefer to see him with the shoulder pads. They're saying now it's a concussion, which probably explains the sunglasses that Malcolm's wearing on the sideline. Pressure coming on Murray. He steps up, delivers the ball a little too high to King. And the Nebraska defense rises up after the turnover. And one of the things Georgia wanted to do was use these backs in the passing game, and I think you see why with that catch by Marshall.
Not necessarily designed this way, but good job by Murray extending the play, throwing the back shoulder throw to protect the throw.
Catching the ball on the tail end, too.
Running back, let alone a lot of receivers, to pluck the ball out of the air the way Keith Marshall just did. Wow.
going to be a 15-yard penalty from the end of the
I
run.
don't get a ball, so I'm just going to hold this.
Well, I'll let you see this one in a minute. It's a nice new one.
We always know quarterbacks very particular about the footballs they throw. This is the one Aaron Murray's throwing this game from Georgia. This, however, is the ball Taylor Martinez likes to throw. He likes it very, very worn in. This looks like something Tommy Frazier, Lawrence Phillips, and Amon Green were toting back in 1995. Every quarterback the day before a game goes through all the footballs and finds the magic seeds that he wants to spin on game day. Taylor Martinez's football, as you can see, looks like it's been around since the 70s.
Burkhead looking for running room. Cutting back, he takes a huge hit. Sanders Cummings was the one that delivered that hit. So what's the difference in terms of quarterback preference? If Martinez likes an older football like that, what's he hoping to gain?
I've always felt that footballs that are more worn in are easier to grip and they spin and spiral better, in my opinion. But then again, everybody's
how about
different.
worn down?
That's right.
My
This thing's like
goodness.
soft leather.
The paint's gone off of it, for goodness sake.
Little Capital One Bowl history back in 1998, Florida against Penn State. The freshman gunslinger, the Canadian strong-arm Jesse Palmer found Quincy Green for a touchdown. You just come off the bench there, hadn't you?
Yeah, I got lucky on that one. Great catch by Quez. Ended up winning the game.
And in the 2004 Capital One Bowl, 0-4-7, David Pollock was hunkering down and getting after Kyle Orton.
That play right there is incredible. I mean, the athleticism, jumps, the balance. I mean, those types of plays get you banners in stadiums. Oh, well, you have two already. You get one for each sack you get. Or did you have, how many sacks now? Three in that game. My bad. There should be another banner up there. There's the other one.
Apparently, I needed a couple more, though. Jarvis still got a record. He would have smashed this record by even more if he wouldn't have been out for 2 ball games. That's why he's a future first-round pick. Every big game this year, he's been awesome.
He also played 2 teams that run the triple option with Georgia Southern and Georgia Tech late in the season.
That's amazing to have those kind of numbers when you really played 9 games this year in terms of a season number. A great play call by Mike Bobo, anticipating pressure from Nebraska. 3rd and long, they dial up the slip screen outside. That was the perfect play call for that defense. You're going to see they're going to get a guard out front. They slip guys out. 2 in the second level, and there's nobody home. Chris Conley, 2 huge touchdowns.
With those shots, you're talking about Georgia, too, is Nebraska's had more penalties. They've committed some offsides penalties, and the right tackle spot in particular, that's 2. That wasn't even Jarvis on there.
Well, it was Jordan Jacobs who's going to be close to Jarvis.
Never-ending supply.
Now Jarvis is up there at the top of the screen over the right side. There's the tight end, Tyler Reed, lined up on that side now. Out there with it. Here comes Alec. Being a man. Martinez firing.
Oh, he's scotch late on that throw.
It again. This will be just the 3rd time in Georgia's storied football history that they've won 12 games. Vince Dooley's 1980 national champions did it. Mark Richt did it back in 02, and now we have a chance in 51 seconds to record their 3rd 12-win season, and oh boy, now that was a complete donkey.
The thing I always look for,
the baptism.
Do you know how many times coaches get drilled with the Gatorade bucket in their head?
Yeah, the top of the head.
It's like you gotta watch. It's not just cold Gatorade bath. Like you also get that plastic in your forehead and your dome piece.
Remember how happy Saban was in the championship game a couple years ago?
Nah.
He was like, seriously? Learn how to do it if you're going to do it, all right, guys?
The big D linemen or tight ends should do it because you get the angle better. These little guys hit you right in the head.
They wondered about the motivation for the Dogs after suffering the heartbreak at the hands of Alabama, but they responded well, as did Nebraska.
Boom to the hay, all you sports fans out there in the Tubosphere. Welcome to the One-Man Sports Rant. Gen 2.0. I am your host, Will, the alternative ESPN, and every other network that we cover, Sports Thrill, specializing in college football and basketball and all of the other sporting events in their singular nature, such as they may occur. Why such an emphasis on the college sports? I was a linebacker and off guard at the collegiate level, however short-lived. Blew up both my ankles. Never was able to realize my sports prowess. Walked on in both events, but I was a non-traditional student, so I sort of screwed up high school, got my act together, got my butt back into college, and so I had to go that route. And I still suffer from those ankles. But the point is, I did not utilize my, stay in school, by the way, high school-wise, sports abilities to the best of their abilities, because street ball wise, you know, I got a reputation still back where I was playing. So I'm not a spring chicken, but I'm not you know, going through a midlife crisis either. It's the best of both, the maturity with still the physical ability and speed to understand it all, I guess. All right, so you heard from Accept, the original balls to the wall. It's gonna be a lead into for the rest of college football. By the way, this is the shorty version. This is the post-review show, as introduced by our Pi Kappa Alpha House Sweethearts, U of U chapter, Alpha Tau, giving you props. All right, so what do I mean by all this? You know, if you saw on the timestamp this video being 10 to 11 minutes thereabouts, this is the post-review show, which is what I mean by those graphics that I included. Much like when you go to a live theater stage show and it's kind of sucking, people with class, you don't walk out on it until intermission. So I understand if I'm talking to only 2 or 5 people, because this show may not be your cup of tea, but it is the post-review. You already saw all the clips, you know, to the sporting event that we were discussing about, and I'm not going to get into it more specifically, because again, this is the baseline show, and I'll get into the legalities as to why that is in a moment. I did used to run a law firm, so to those of you still listening, stick around because you'll learn something about the particulars of YouTube. But for the shows, you know, 15 minutes or longer, it's a totally different intro than what I'm doing right now. All right. So why bother doing a show, you may ask? Because the ship has sailed, in the sense of just trying to piggyback on somebody else's network and going beyond the 5 to 7 minute mark and just trying to put that up as not necessarily your own, but obviously from somebody else. You try to give them credit on YouTube. I'm sure you may have seen this several times. Your longer clips, say like beyond the 4 minute mark, where all they're showing is like the channel immediately. That does not cover the legalities of it. What are the legalities I'm discussing? It's a little thing called the DCMA, the Digital Copyright Millennium Act. And the key tenets that we adhere to on the OMSR are, as they were hashed out through WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization: fair use standard, minimal use, derivatives, and no money exchanged in hands. Of course, that last one's a given, but it's also important. But it's a given here because, as you can see, the OMSR is a pro bono production. We adhere strictly to that. And on that note, as well, all images you see on the OMSR, not procured or produced, 2-minute warning, so I'll go over on time, by the OMSR, were obtained through the public domain. So anybody out there saying, hey, Will, you're kind of using an image that we don't necessarily approve of, fine. Watch my dust. I'll take it down. Excuse me. Readjust it. The only sucky thing about that is you'll lose all the hits when you go to re-upload the same thing, plus the interest lanes on that particular event. But that's not important as opposed to what I just said. All right. And on that note, this show is copyright to the OMSR. Brief video highlights courtesy to the networks already discussed through Will, the alternative sports throw. The OMSR does not own these video highlights, but does own all the other original content and the overall concept herein, thereof, therefore, most rights reserved. Alright, so on that note, the 2-minute warning, we go back to our musical lead into Accept. The original, to the nth degree, balls to the wall. perfect theme music for closing out college football. You got to play balls to the wall to get a winning record, to get to a better bowl, or BCS consideration. All right, so pay attention to the end graphic at the end of the show. VAC chart from the state of California DMV. They will throw the book at you. Worst state in the union, or best, toughest, whatever you want to call it. You get a DUI. You can pause it, freeze frame it. X amount of drinks, your body type. No X amount of activity. All right, thanks for watching. Later days, and only a few more college football plays.